Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We want to leave some time for everyone else to tune in, so we'll start in a couple of minutes, I think. But until then, we can talk a bit about this webinar, why we're doing it, why we're here, and what you should expect. So today, we're basically going to talk about high-performing agencies and what it takes to scale. What do they do differently? What makes these agencies so great? What got them to where they are? And what you have or can do in 2022 to make it the year that of your focus on growth. So here is what's going to happen. Me and Robert will just talk about this topic. We'll each we'll share our experience and whatever we know on this topic. And we prepared a few questions for each other, but the chat will be open throughout the entire webinar. So we'll take questions from there as well, and we'll do our best to answer everything. And yeah, I'll introduce each question as we go, but otherwise we'll talk about whatever topic feels more important. So without further ado, let me introduce both Robert and myself. So Robert works with Google Partners as their go-to expert on growing digital agencies. He is known for his no-nonsense approach to business growth. He has worked with agencies and platforms from London to Dublin, from Singapore to New York. That sounds very exciting. He is the author of Grow Your Digital Agency and the Agency Strategy Workbook. So thanks so much, Robert, for taking the time to do this.
It's absolutely great to be here. It's great to be with you, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Great. So I also introduced myself, which is a bit weird, never done it before, but here I go. I'm the CMO at Planable, which is a content review and collaboration platform for social media teams. I've been leading the growth efforts here for the past 4 years. And where I'm coming from in this webinar is, having worked with hundreds of agencies throughout this time, I can really talk about what I've learned from them, from their point. Most of the agencies that do come to Planable or that I interacted with are at that point in time where they want to switch from just going on to growing fast. So that's, I'll talk about that later in detail. But yes, I'm very excited to be here, and thank you everyone who joined in the meantime. I think we are ready to just kick it off.
Let's go.
Let's go. So my feeling is that the first kind of expectation or the first fear for people is the roadblocks that come to when it comes to growth. So I would just start by discussing that.
Okay. So here's the question, and the question's for everyone who's listening and watching, which is, what's holding you back? What's holding you back from running the agency that you really want to run? Now, when you ask a room with 100, 200, 500 agencies in the room, all the hands go up. Oh, we know that. You get them to write down what it is. Okay, so that's what you actually get them to do. Now, meanwhile, different paragraph. We did a piece of research about 3 years ago, asking 250 successful agencies when they were trying to grow, what was holding them back. And we also asked 250 wannabes, we want to grow our business. We asked those 250, what's holding them back from running the agency they really want to run. Okay, so we've got the research and we've got the people in the room. So when you ask the people in the room what's holding you back, you get hundreds of answers, but every answer starts with the word they. They, the government. They Google, they Facebook, they the clients, they the blinking staff. I'll try and keep my language clean. They the blinking banks, they the accountants, they the consultants, they the business schools. It's always other people. So this is called an external locus of control. So when you ask 250 wannabes, what's holding you back from running the agency you really want to run, they talk about everything themselves. When you talk to the 250 people who have made it and they've got their golf clubs in the back of the Porsche and they only work on Mondays and Tuesdays, you ask them, what was holding you back then when you were trying to get going? Rather than having 250 different answers starting with the word they, you get one answer, which is me. I was the problem. I was the roadblock. Do we put up prices? Do we not put up prices? Do we employ more people? Do we not employ more people? Do we start doing other services? Do we not do start? And everything has to come through me, because if it doesn't go through me, then I don't know what's going on. And if I don't know what's going on, I just all that noise that comes. So, what's holding you? I'll be polite. What's holding me back from running the agency I really want to grow? It's me. I'm the problem. I'm in the way. And when they get that the problem is them, so if something goes wrong, it's their fault, but if something goes right, it's also because of their thinking, then there's a sense of the shoulders come down and they free themselves up because they realize, okay, I am actually in control. It's not about other people. It's about me and how I respond to what's going on around me. So what's holding you back from running the agency you want to run? Yourself and your mindset.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because we haven't really agreed on this before, but I did find the same experience, and it's for me personally, it wasn't only, I did not focus so much on the mindset of the owners of the agencies, but it is about that. It is about the looking within. So I find that extremely relatable to everything I've heard, just because it is the temptation of focusing outwards of the clients. I don't have the clients. I can't find the clients. The people are not choosing me. They don't want to pay me. So many of the things that, as you said, you cannot control. But I've never heard putting the problem of, can you even handle more clients right now? Are you even ready for that growth? Is your agency, is the infrastructure, the system, everything put in place so that you can actually focus on your growth? The day-to-day seems to eat so much of the time, the energy, the emotion, everything. And then the growth becomes actually a concern that's always on everyone's minds, but it's never actually reflected in their work.
But I think it becomes, the growth is almost a byproduct. I know it sounds like a bizarre thing to say because everyone talks about growth so much. So firstly, we haven't, and nobody ever defines what growth is. So is that growth in clients, growth in profit, growth in sales, personal growth, growth in headcount, growth in quality, growth in net promoter score, growth in perception? Yeah, so there's lots and lots of different definitions of growth apart from it's a good thing. So we should really define what growth is. And I think the other thing is that many agency owners are what I'd call a reluctant entrepreneur. So they've been working somewhere, they go freelance, it gets a bit busy, they call in a few mates, there's 3 of them working on a project. Oh, there's 4 of them. Oh, I better get one of them as a full-time employee to make sure they stay with me. 5 people. Oh, I need an outsourced bookkeeper. 6 people. Oh, someone said they can do business development for me. They'll do it 2 days a week. Fantastic. 7 people. And without even realizing it, you're suddenly running a business, and you've not been to business school, and there is no roadmap. There is no book that tells you how to run a business. And the very thing the very thing you signed up for isn't what you do anymore. So if you can imagine a graph which has got working in the business, doing the doing, execution, and delegating, we'll put it, we'll do it that way. When you start running the business, day one, there's just you on your own. It's 100% execution and no delegation. Okay, so 100% execution, no delegation. 2 years later, you've now got 10 people. Ideally, you're doing very little execution and loads of delegation, but you never signed up. No one ever told you. You'd end up wiping people's bottoms. You'd end up with an endless flow of people saying, Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, I can't get in. Oh, I can't find this on the Google Drive. Oh, the client says they wanted it yesterday. Oh, the client's not happy. What should I do? Tell me how I should do it. No one told us we'd end up wiping people's bottoms. So the thing we signed up for, which is, hey, I'm great at doing code. I'm great at doing social media. I'm great at doing graphics. And clients love it. Suddenly you find you're not actually doing very much of that at all. You're getting other people to do it. So there are a lot of reluctant entrepreneurs who don't necessarily, and it's not anyone's fault, but they don't necessarily have those business skills that you might have in a quieter world. You might say, oh, I wish to run my own business. I need to go on a course to understand how you run a business. I am now ready to run that business. I now apply all that learning into the business.
Yeah, it's I found this the term for some of these at some point was, it's similar to, it's growing pains, right? It's very similar to a to a child that grows up at some point, and it has the fast growth can be painful. And for us, even at Planable, I joined Planable when we were just 5 people in total within the company, and it was on marketing. I was all alone, so it was just wing it. We'll just do whatever. I'll write a blog today, run some sort of Facebook ad tomorrow. I'll find my way. And now we are, I think, 26, 27 people in the company, out of which the marketing team is 8 people. So that in itself has meant so many changes, and it's meant processes along the way. And I think a lot of this was because we were talking so much. Planable in itself is a workflow tool. So we had to, walk the talk. We had to focus on our own workflows before going out into the world and telling everyone, you have to do it. So we did this we tried to implement it in our values, in our core mindset as a business, to always look at process, and we audit them every 3 months. But yeah, before we actually go into the how-to, what do the high-performing agencies do differently?
Right. Well, they're easy to identify in as much as they're high-performing, which is, I know it's like, there's a fancy word, tautology. It says what it means. So really, the really good agencies have really great clients with really deep pockets, paying above the odds prices on long-term contracts. So they're highly profitable. And there's a cycle then, which means the agency's got deeper pockets, so it can employ better people. Now, you can employ a technician or a great technician, but their technical skills can be similar. Okay, what's different with employing great people is not only their technical skills really good, but their social skills, emotional intelligence is really good. So they're really good at cross-selling and upselling. So you'd find someone who's writing a social media blog, and the client says, that's really good. How can we make this blog work better? And they say, well, the obvious thing to do is to run this blog across a few more platforms. Now, not every blog writer can talk like that to a client. So because these high-performing agencies have more money, they employ better people with better skills who upsell and cross-sell more often. And because they're good people, they can charge more, so they get more money. So there's a wonderful virtuous cycle going on, and they step away. So if you look at a bell curve of agencies, where you've got the dreadful ones on my left, and you've got the totally awesome ones on the right. We did some research looking at like the top 10%, not the top 0.5%, because they're like the unicorns, but the top, from 0.5 to 10%. And you see they're doing loads and loads of things differently from the main ones. Firstly, their marketing is totally sorted out. Their proposition, maybe their product's not great, but their proposition is really compelling. It's sexy, it's gorgeous. You want to buy from them. They understand the customers. And that's what you see. Okay, so we can talk about how they actually do it in a minute. But I think they're very good at marketing. It is one thing that's clearly good, and everyone grumbles, the way we do social media, the way we put together blogs, the way we write content is so much better than them, but they're getting all the work. Yeah, well, that's because, yeah, we need to just remember for ourselves that marketing and selling isn't a battle of the product, it's a battle for the mind of the customer. So these really high performing agencies are really good at winning the mind of the customer, so that the customer believes that they are better than other people. So I think that's what you see. You see higher hourly rates, higher utilization, higher profitability, higher visibility. And interestingly, in terms of marketing budget, their marketing budget is much lower on average, because it's more succinct and it's more focused and it's more laser. So their average marketing budget's lower because their work speaks for itself. But we'll stop, because I think there's a part two, which is, yeah, but what's really going on that actually makes them so much better?
Yeah, it's for me, it was interesting to see at some point, because I worked with various agencies that were in the very early beginnings and were struggling, as well as, huge agencies that were, as you said, getting all the clients. And yeah, I've seen their focus on the people, on the work, on what they're doing, much less than on the, as you said, external factors. And it was revigorating to go into meetings with agency owners that were just, they had the answers of all the questions. When I asked them, how much time does it take for you to serve one of your clients? How much of that time is actual work, is actual output for them, and how much is it just wasted?
So now you're coming to the real answer, in a way, which is the dull, boring stuff, which is measuring stuff, which is systems and processes. It's like the systems and process. I mean, I remember so my first business was a restaurant, a cafe, when I was 21. And the moment when you realize, actually, this doesn't work, because some days lunch goes out at 12, sometimes it's 12:30, sometimes our curries blow your head off, sometimes they're really mild. The customers want consistency. They want to arrive at 12 o'clock and know that your curries are mild, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And that realization that this doesn't work, everyone making it up as they go along, every client deserves to get the same product, the same service delivered in the same way, of the same quality. Same thing applies in an agency. And it's about putting these blinking systems and processes in place. It is the dull, boring stuff. As you quite rightly say, when you go into these high performing agencies and you say, so tell me what you're doing. They say, we have a 83% utilization. You go, wow. So how do you define utilization? Utilization is the average, is the amount from the billable amount that they're actually, wow. How do you calculate that? We have timesheets, they're on whatever it is, and every day, and they click in and it measures and wow. So why is that good? Because we know who are the most successful members of our staff, so we can reward them and give them bonuses. We know who are the most profitable clients, so we know which ones we should do more of or less of. We know what are most profitable. And again, this isn't what we signed up for. We didn't sign up for the dull, boring stuff. But the book, Grow Your Digital Agency, I sometimes think it should have been renamed in praise of the dull, boring stuff, because it's the systems and the processes. It's knowing that there's one truth. It's knowing that, at the end of the month, you can say, this is what we sold. This is how profitable we were. This is the amount of money we've got. This is the amount of time we're spending. This is who's at capacity. This is who's got capacity. Just going back to the reluctant entrepreneur, you never signed up to becoming like a traffic manager. You never signed up for all of that stuff. But these agencies, we see the marketing and the shenanigans and the standing up and winning award stuff. But it's that obsession with systems and processes. And interesting, Miruna, that you talk about yourselves having to, I call it smoke your own dope, having to do your own thing. But it's we've recently gone through this exactly same process, which is if we were 3 times the size that we are now, what systems and processes would we need to be in place? If in 3 years' time someone came along and wanted to buy us, what would they expect to see? We're going to put all of that in place now. We're going to do the heavy lifting now. And although it feels over-engineered for a relatively small business, it makes scaling really, really easy because it's like we've got a V8 engine. The engine's too big for the car at the moment, but as the car grows, we'll grow into it. So we are able to we know exactly what all our consultants are doing, what they've got in their order book, what they've done, who's paid, who hasn't paid, and it's not exactly at the click of a button, but the information isn't that far away. So there is one truth. And I think we all need that.
Yeah. The question for me for a long time was, why do we postpone looking at processes and systems all the time?
Oh, well,
besides the fact that it's boring, I mean, it's clear.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that's exactly it. You've hit the nail on the head. It's like, why are slimming clubs so successful? They're so successful because everyone goes, oh, that's a really great idea. I'd really like to do that. It's New Year's Day. Well, it's just after Easter. I could really do with losing some weight. I'll sign up to slimming club. What does that mean? Oh, it means I've got to go on some diets and stuff. And when do I see the results? Oh, you'll see the results in a couple of months' time. So it requires changing the way you do stuff. It requires changing your scorecard. It requires new habits. It requires discipline. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. And you're not getting any benefit for it. We're not going to get any benefit for our amazing systems and processes that we put in place, probably for 18 months. It'd be much easier to run the business on an Excel spreadsheet. But I know that, as things start moving, we're going to have this history. Right? In 3 years' time, someone can come to us and say exactly what happened in month 3 or month 5 or month 5. And there it all is. We know what's going on, who's doing what. So why don't people do more systems and processes? Because it's dull and boring, although I think it's actually quite sexy in a funny sort of way.
I shared that opinion.
So and it is quite hard work. And some people aren't. I am not a natural. I'm a big picture. Hey, we're going to run an event. We'll have 150 people there. Fantastic. And we can give them goodie bags at the end and they can all sit around. We can have we can have a disco and a party everywhere. Cool. Somebody else has to go, so who exactly are we going to invite and how are we going to invite them? And what happens if we only get 100 people? And how many drinks per person are required? I'm the one who kind of waves their arms around. So I find the discipline of noting down, we now have it. Every conversation is noted down in the CRM system. And the CRM system relates to the main system, blah, blah, blah. And it's awesome. I see the benefits now. Someone phones up. I haven't spoken to them for 2 months. Go into the CRM system. There they are. There's the last conversation. This is what they said they wanted to do. Here's their head count. This is where they're based. This is, it's you're actually able to deliver more value to the client. You're not being, it's not disingenuous. It's not like you're going, oh, happy birthday, I see it's your birthday. It's you actually have more information to do a better job to deal with them. So for me, getting the workflow sorted out, it does 2 things. Firstly, it creates a consistent product because there's a price for that product. There's a number of hours that it takes, the time that it happens. There's 5 steps on the way to actually making it happen. And we've discovered that as the best way of doing it. You go into McDonald's and you ask for a Big Mac, it's the same Big Mac wherever you go. It's like, and they've figured out, it comes out of the freezer for 2 minutes and then it's in the deep fat fryer for 45 seconds and it's left to rest for 20 seconds. They've fine-tuned it.
Yeah.
And then I know people are going to say to me, oh, yeah, but that's just for cheap, nasty product. Well, if you go into a 3-star Michelin restaurant, okay, it's exactly the same. Okay, there is the process. We take the steak, it goes onto a frying pan. We use extra virgin olive oil. We use 1 teaspoon. It gets cooked on one side at 200 degrees for it's just the meat is 50 euros worth rather than €1 worth. It's all about the systems and processes.
Yeah, I would add another aspect to the system and the process, just because which I am sure will not help at selling this, but I have to say it. It's a never-ending process, really. I mean, for us, we discovered that we have to constantly audit this because you constantly grow and you always have to, just like you change clothes when your shape changes, the same goes for processes, right? So it's a matter of mindset and of repetition. So for me, for example, it's become a bit of a pet peeve if I hear anyone in the team that is telling us about their week or about this specific task or about a specific project, and they sigh, or it comes with it took longer than expected, or this takes a lot of time, an immediate red light comes on for me. So I have to ask that person, let's review that a bit. Why does it take so much time? What are the steps that you go through? What part of that can we automate? How can we make sure that you use your brain, your talents, the reason you've been hired at most here at Planable? You're not just, losing time on things that a computer could do. Yeah. And it's
but I think part of the problem with that is that we have this idea that being the leader of a great organization is you kind of swan around and you wave at people and you sign bits of paper and then you put the golf clubs in the back of the Porsche and you drive off. And actually your job, kind of one of the big ahas I had last year, even at my graying age, was that my job is to find problems and solve them. That is my job. My job is to find things that aren't working. My job is and then figure out why they're not working and then figure out how to fix them. And so it's not about, it's not about the sexy stuff of standing up on stage in front of 500 people, which I could do all day. It's actually about, that's really, I'll give you an example. We've had an order for some books for Kazakhstan. Okay, so it's 80 quid's worth of 100 euros of books, and there's no margin on the books. That's kind of pretty much what we pay for them for. And we're going to charge 50 euros for post and package. So there's no margin on that. But it's taken half an hour of my time already just going, oh, so you'd like some books? Yes, of course. Louise can sort that out. Louise comes back. Oh, they're in Kazakhstan. Oh, do we charge them the foreign? Yeah, you charge them the foreign. It's in the process. Oh, right. So follow the process. Oh, yeah. Process says, email them, get their address.
So after technical difficulty, we're gonna get back to it. Yeah. So
I was in mid-flow about how difficult systems are to put in place. Now, the first time we do this with this book that's going to Kazakhstan, which is what I was talking to you before, it's taken half an hour of my time, which is mental. It's taken half an hour of Louise's time, which is mental. Don't even think about the time. And, I have a suspicion that they won't pay because they'll see how much that is and they'll turn up. But it has to be done. But now it's done, there is a process for sending books to obscure places. So I think, and if we hadn't written that down, unless I remembered it, it wouldn't work. So another classic thing we've done here is it's finance at GYDA Initiative. It's not Louise. So heaven forbid Louise should leave. The finance app just continues doing its own thing. We don't have to get her out of the Google Drive, blah, blah, blah. We don't have to do.
Yeah.
And I think that that is what larger organizations do. I recently interviewed a guy who sold a business, and he said on day one, very much like ourselves, on day one, he said that I imagined that the business was over there on that table over there. And in 3 years' time, I said to myself, if someone was going to buy this business, what would they want? They'd want to see a nice machine that ran smoothly. They'd want to see a manual of how things work. They'd want to see it wasn't dependent on the owners or the people in the place. And so from day one, he created a business that would be attractive to a specific purchaser. In fact, so much so that when he did his first logo and he was trying to sell to an accounting firm like Xero or Sage, when he did his first logo, underneath he wrote powered by Sage, or part of the Sage group of companies, to see what it would look like. So he was, start with the end in mind. He was always thinking about what people would buy, and what people buy in that sense is a replicable machine, a sausage machine that keeps on going.
Yeah.
So going back to your thing, why don't people like doing it? Because it is dull, and it is quite and it is quite tough, and it is very granular. But
it's painful.
But isn't it awesome when you run your second conference and you've got, oh yeah, we've got a process how to run a conference. Start 12 weeks ahead with, you know, booking in the speakers, agreeing, send the speaker pack to this, use this form, use that form, create this, out you go. And it just
runs.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I find, you know, I like what you said about selling, because it reminds me so much about this one thing that I've heard that stuck with me. I was a junior back then. I was just at the beginning of my career, and I heard a speaker at some event, and they talked about leadership and about, you know, managing a team. And they said that, you know, if the egocentrical part of us as leaders tells us to think like this: if I were to go, you would want the company to be destroyed, to feel you have went away, to feel the impact of your leaving. But that's not really that you feel like that would validate somehow your value to the company, but it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
So what they said, it's, you know, if the best managers that leave, if they're really, really great managers, if they taught their team correctly, if they set the systems in place, if they not made themselves the hugest bottleneck in the company, then once they leave, the company should be just fine. They should run just as well as they did before.
But what happens is, and we're back to ego, is we want to put on our Superman cape and rescue people. You want to go in and go, hey, you've got difficulty over there, let me help you. And of course, you wouldn't do that to kids. You know, if you did that to kids, you'd leave them useless, not being able to do anything. And yet we think we should do that to our staff, which is just bonkers. So what we end up doing is we end up building the agency around ourselves, with us in the middle. So I'm going to have the finance person report to me, the salesperson report to me, the dev report to me, the content producer report, and then you can't go on holiday without being on your mobile phone all day. You go on holiday and you hide in the toilet from your partner going, hello business, I shouldn't be talking now, but I'm meant to be on holiday. And you spend 2 weeks on holiday hiding in the toilet because you've built the whole business around yourself. And in fact, you should be able to take 6 weeks holiday off, and the business should run itself. Okay, on a Friday, you can phone in to see if there's anything important happening.
Yeah.
But you know, if there's a fire, they're going to phone the fire brigade. You know, if a client doesn't pay, they're going to write a letter asking for money. And, you know, we put ourselves in the middle. You know, it's the same gene about I'm better than someone else, and that's why most of us set up a business. I've seen other people set it up and it's been rubbish, but I could do so much better than them. That's like the nail in the coffin. It's that arrogant gene that also makes us think that we know better. And every agency owner you talk to says, I can't get people who can sell as well as I can. It's like, well, that's probably correct, but you can't do it all yourself. So you need to create a system. And it's back to your marketing stuff. When you started doing the marketing, you're saying you just did any which way. Now you've kind of 80-20'd it, and you know how effective this is versus how effective this is versus how effective this is. All marketing channels are not equal. Some of them are, you need to understand about marketing versus sales, but you learn to be effective. And in fact, advice to any agency owner is take Fridays off, because firstly, you don't have any great ideas in front of the computer. Secondly, if you take Friday off, what do you do on a Friday? Oh, you ride the bike, go for a walk, go for a swim, go in the garden, paint that room. But all the time, your brain is click, 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 thinking about the business. You can do 4 days work. You can do, 5 days work in 4 days. You just need to do 20% more a day. So you just need to get up at 7 start work at 7 rather than 8. So you can do the same amount of work. You'll work much more effectively. You'll say no to more stuff, which is what you should be doing. Every hour you work, you should be saying, is this $10 an hour work, $100 an hour work, or $1,000 an hour work? Yeah. Now, we all do $1,000 an hour work, not a lot of it, but we all do it sometimes. And we want more $1,000 an hour work. That meeting where I sold a 2-year program, 1 hour, and I sold a 2-year program worth $50,000. I want more of those. And what I did this morning, cleaning out my Google Drive and moving stuff across. Yeah. That's $10 an hour job. That I should give that to a VA who's perfectly capable of pressing with the mouse and pulling across, pressing with the mouse, So, and again, we're back to the Superman cape. We kind of want to do everything.
Yeah. And prove ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's say you're talking right now to an agency that's just starting out or that wants to switch gears. They got our message right here. Okay, I have to change something. What do I start with? Where do I start? Where do I go?
Okay, so it's very simple to say. Where am I now? Where am I going? How am I going to get there? What am I going to measure? So we have a big sheet. I had a feeling we might use this, but we have a big sheet that you can use.
Okay.
But if you look at this side here, I'll go in a bit close. There you go. So first, where am I now is scores out of 10 for financial performance, marketing performance, operations performance, people and culture. 10's a high score, 0 is a low score. Financial performance, marketing performance, operations performance, people and culture performance. Really important. Your financial performance is a consequence of marketing and operations. How good you are at finance is determined by how good you are at selling, marketing, and doing operations. So if you're pants at marketing and operations, your finance will be pants. That's step 1. Where are we now? Step 2 is business school 101. So don't be afraid of it, but it's in simple language. And this is one side of A4 paper. It's one sheet with like 3 or 4 lines to each. Why are we doing this? What do we want to be in 3 years' time? How will we know we're there? How are we going to get there? What are the steps on the way? What are we going to measure? Now, if you want to use the posh words, it's what's our purpose? Why are we doing it? Where do we want to be in 3 years' time? Vision. What numbers do we need to hit to know we've got there? Mission, numbers. Now, every business school, every course has different versions of this. Don't get het up with what these labels are. How are we going to do it? Strategy. What are the steps on the way? Core success factors. What are we going to measure? KPIs. So where are we now? Where do you want to be in 3 years' time? Now, the clever bit before people lose the will to live is you then get a roll of wallpaper. Yeah, big roll of wallpaper, and you put it along a big number of tables, or you put pin it up on the wall, and you mark out on that wallpaper now, and you put turnover, profit, number of staff, number of clients, average value of clients, all that kind of stuff. And then you go to the other end of the wallpaper and you write down 3 years time. 3 years time, we want to be that number of staff, that turnover, that profit, that number of offices, that number of clients. And then you map out year 1 and year 2, and then you get post-its, which there's normally some around me somewhere, but I can't see them. And you stick on them. So if we're going to be 3 million euro turnover in 3 years time, then in 2 years time, the turnover will be 2 million. Therefore, in 1 year's time, it'll be 1 million. And right now it's 600K. Okay. In which case we need to acquire 5 new clients a month. And then someone says, well, if you want to acquire 5 new clients a month, that means we've got to spend an extra $100 a month on marketing. And then you say, if you're going to spend an extra $100 on marketing, I'm going to need a marketing assistant, which is going to be 40,000 euros. So what happens is everyone puts, as we go, if I do that, I need to do that. And you end up planning the 3 years on the wallpaper. The only thing that matters, of course, is like year 1. Don't worry too much about year 3, but year 1. Convert that onto a spreadsheet. Let everyone sign off to that. So where are you now? Where are you going? How are you going to get there? That way everyone's bought in. And the final piece is a scorecard. And I know KPIs are like the devil's spawn. Everyone hates them, but they're not. They are really exciting. Let me explain. They're the devil's spawn because no one understands how to do KPIs properly. Okay. So we said finance, marketing, operations, people, and culture, 4 boxes. So I'm asking you to create a piece of paper with 4 boxes: financial performance, marketing performance, operational performance, people and culture performance. And of all those things you think you need to measure, from the number of toilet rolls you used, profit to cash, to number of staff, to utilization, to billability, blah, 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 you're allowed 4 financial measures to look at each month. 4, because this is the 80-20 rule. It's what, this is the lights in the airplane cockpit: how high, how fast, how much fuel.
Yeah.
4 marketing measures, 4 operations measures, 4 people and culture. That's it. And then on a monthly basis, like 5 days after the month end, you look at those measures and you look at how you perform. Maybe you use a traffic light system, and you're all over the numbers on a monthly basis. So if anything's starting to drift, you're able to say, are we measuring the wrong thing, or are we just underperforming? What can we do to sort it out? Again, dull, boring stuff. So you just put in the diary the 5th day of the month for the next 3 years. That's the boardroom meeting when everyone turns up and everyone discusses the numbers for the next month. And that will kind of invigorate you in terms of what your journey and your direction is. It'll make you think about whether it's possible or not by doing the wallpaper. Are we mad? Can we do this? It's too ambitious, not ambitious enough. And then you've got a system for measuring your progress. And then at the end of the year, you do it again, you start again. So yeah.
I'd say besides, invigorating and helpful in its own, I think it's also very empowering because it puts you back in control, which came up very early in this conversation, right? When you map everything out, and I've done this exercise, I can say that seeing the how-to, doing it in a very logical, mathematical way, because your ROI, your conversion rates, how many sales meetings you have to book in order to get one client. So you can reverse engineer that and really map everything out. But once you do that, really anything can be more, not everything can be achievable, but at least even if you plan to be, in 3 months' time to become the world's biggest agency, you at least can know what would have to happen to get there.
Absolutely. And you can say, actually, we don't want to do that. Actually, that doesn't look like so much fun, because I know lots of agencies who said, okay, we're 30 people, no more, because we're having as much fun as we can ever have. I know everyone in the agency, we've got great clients, and a 50-person agency would mean I'd become the CEO. I wouldn't earn any more money. My staff wouldn't be any happier. I'd have a different set of problems I don't need. And I know people who made that decision at 10 people. And I know, one client of mine got to 25 staff and said, you know what, I'm sacking everyone because I can earn more money on my own. One person on my own, I can earn 100,000 euros, give the accountant 4,000 euros, take home 99,000 euros, or run an agency turning over 2 million euros with a net profit of, it's the same number.
Yeah.
For all that effort. So it enables you to, my thing is, it enables you to make your mistakes on paper. You don't have to make your mistakes on paper.
That's a very, very good way to put it.
And if you're really into planning, there's an even more cunning system, which is the 13-week year. Basically, you do business plans just for the quarter. Yeah. Because like reading a chapter of a book, you're interested at the beginning, you're interested at the end, you lose the will to live in the middle. So rather than having a business plan for a year where you're interested at the beginning and interested at the end, but you drift, you have quarterly business plans, and then you stay in, or even better. So for us, on our weekly tactical meeting for the staff and our weekly board meeting, which is like 45 minutes, we have, this is where we want to be in 3 years time number, this is where we want to be in 1 year's time number, this is what we're doing of each quarter, and these are the things we need to achieve this quarter. Okay, that is talked through at the beginning of every meeting, so it's like banged into people's brains. The new website will be launched on June the 14th. They've heard that for like 7 or 8 weeks now, every Monday morning. June the 14th, June the 14th, every Monday morning. Profitability needs to be this number. We need so many new clients. And then it kind of is absorbed like osmosis.
Yeah. Yeah, that it sounds amazing. And getting to get back a bit to the main question of what you can do today, my 2 cents here are, the area in which I spend most of my time, the efficiency one. And what I can say here is that it sounds very vague. It sounds very abstract. You can be more efficient. You can optimize your workflow. All of these words that don't really mean anything to us.
So the thing I say all the time, if I say it once a day, I say it 20 times a day. Will it make the boat go faster?
Yeah. Exactly.
Will it make the boat go faster? Oh, we've got a great idea. We could all have bigger screens. Will it make the boat go faster? Nope. Okay, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We could have a party. Will it make the boat go faster? Well, it will, because we'll sell some more. We'll get some more clients. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So my 2 cents in this optimizing the workflow thing is it can start with an audit. So what I would advise, and I also recommend a big piece of paper, a wall of post-its, if you will, because what you have to do is map everything that goes into your work. Just because as an agency, a big risk of a time waster is that the actual work with the clients, the collaboration, the communication. You never realize how much time it goes into answering the phone of a client that has some very quick questions that they really want to get into a meeting for, or that they want to drop by the office to talk in person for that one minute question. So all of that collaboration happens in so many different places and in so many different ways, and between so many different people, it becomes sort of like a spider web of minutes and minutes that add up to a lot of money or a lot of time that you could use with so many more clients. So what I would advise here would be to put those processes, to take each team member and ask them, describe me your day-to-day, describe me your ongoing work. Who do you talk to? I talk to this client. Okay, this is your main client. Great. How do you talk to them? Well, they call me and I email them back. What do you send them? Your work. How do you show it to them? Documents, emails, WhatsApp messages, whatever you want to do. Map those communication channels as well. And then, and this one is, it can be tricky. After you have it all mapped out, ideally you would track and audit the time for a month tops. Ask your team to do that, to just simply put in, use a tool. It's very simple to do that, and audit what everyone focuses their time on, what the biggest time wasters are. And then shave it all off and start from scratch. Start by designing a process that actually works, and by focusing on those issues that waste the most of your team's time. I've done it a few times within our team as well, and I can say again, it can be very revigorating. It can feel like your whole job actually changes, and it can feel for people, it motivates them, because let's just admit it, creatives do not sign up for, as you say, the dull boring stuff. They do not sign up for copy pasting in Excels and sending back and forth and talking to clients whenever and wherever they want to.
Yeah, so I think the question then, and it's similar with talking about timesheets or whatever it is how you sell the concept into people such that it's for their benefit. And
yeah,
obviously the benefit is they get more time to do the sexy stuff.
Exactly.
And we stop them doing replicable work that other people or other things or other systems can do. And also, you know, they're able to be more effective. And if they're more effective, we can charge more money, we can become more profitable, we can pay them more money. So there's a lot in it for them. So I think the trick is saying to them, this isn't about being a policeman. This is quite the reverse. This is about enabling you to get on and do what you want to do.
Yeah. It's about helping them get the most out of their job, be the happiest at their job. It's about asking them, what's the most annoying part about your job? Because for sure, it won't be what their main talent is. If you've got a copywriter, they're not going to say the most annoying part of about my job is writing. It's going to be something that you will want to remove from their lives. And that's, you know, that'll also help you sell it to them, to get involved in that process and help you.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the last part is to actually repeat it every once in a while, as you said, once a year, it depends how fast your team is growing, but usually, you know, changes in process need to be done when changes in the team are made. You know, when you add 2-3 more people, then stuff can change.
And also I think there are different times, as you said earlier on, there are different times in the growth of the agency when suddenly the system isn't appropriate anymore. So when you're very, very small, it's appropriate for all the phone calls to come through to the, you know, managing director, CEO. And when you're about 10 or 15 people, maybe it's time for all those phone calls to go to a office manager or an assistant and so on and so forth. So you're going to have to rethink how that actually runs. But, you know, I know that, so I got my PA to take my calls because all my calls were identical. Tell me about your agency. How big are you? Where are you based? What are your main problems? And she was able to, with a slightly different voice, ask the same questions, get the same information. And I wasn't going to do the work in any case. I was only going to give it to one of my consultants so she could do it. And I think, again, we just get stuck in the idea that it has to be me that does everything. Superman cape.
Yeah, it's a shift in mindset. It's a shift in everyone's mindset, because after you've changed yours, you have to inspire everyone else to do the same, right?
Yeah, and I think it's about, you know, really good businesses. They're obsessed with strategy. Where the heck are we going? They're obsessed with marketing. How on earth can we sell more stuff? They're obsessed with teams. How can we get on better with each other? And processes and systems runs underneath the whole of that. There's a process and system for strategy, process and system for marketing, and process and systems for, you know, for teams and for leadership. And it's just understanding that the system, what's the word I'm looking for, releases you from, as opposed to constricts you. And if it does constrict you, then the system isn't right. It's kind of a freeing up piece.
Yeah, that is a great note and a very inspiring one, I think, to wrap things on. And I mean, I hope that, you know, the people watching this and that will watch it in the future will feel like, okay, this is the time to make that switch, make that change, and yeah, hopefully get to where they want to go.
Brilliant. I love it.
So thanks for everyone attending, and thank you again, Robert, for joining, first of all, and then for all the inspiring and great advice you've given. Absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed the conversation with you. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.